Okie dokie. Welcome, Zack Zublena. How are you, darling?
I'm amazing, Tyler. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. You look dashing, by the way.
Thank you.
So before we get started, let me just tell our audience a little bit about you. You are an artist. You are a healer. You are the writer of this incredible book called The Sacred Frequency of Gold, which, as I was telling you before we started this interview, the prose are just magnificent. It's like you're a poet writing a book.
Thank you.
And you rarely see that these days. You know, it's quite beautiful. There are some paragraphs that I actually wanted to read aloud because they're just magnificent. But given your journey and where you've been and back, I'm not surprised.
Thank you. So yeah, the story is that the sacred frequency of gold, because I started to paint people in gold. I was a photographer for the longest time, and
let's get that up there, right? This is what his creations look like. They're absolutely stunning.
one of them. Thank you. And yeah, it's been fun. And I started that like 8 years ago. So at first I wanted to do nude photography. And my ex-wife at the time, she was like, "No way, Jose, you're not doing nude. This is not happening. Relax, okay? There's no nude." And as a matter of fact, I didn't know why. You know, it's like because everything has been done in nude. And so it took me a while. And then we divorced, not, for that reason. And I still wanted to do nude, but it took me like another 3-4 years after that. Immediately I clicked, like, oh my God, I'm going to paint people in gold and put them against the gold background. So I kept doing that for 4 years for the aesthetic part of it, because I'm really an aesthete. It's funny you mentioned the Italian Renaissance, because I'm a big...
But me too.
Oh my God.
And then you think about all the gold in those paintings, right? And,
Oh my God.
And the Michelangelo, and how there's always gold in these sacred places.
Absolutely, yeah. And so it was magic. So I kept doing it for 4 years. Yeah.
Now, is this all before you understood what the power of gold was?
Yeah.
So this is before you knew this sort of ancient technology behind the actual metal?
I had no clue. I just thought it was cool. And it looked nice. And I was really connected to this.
The aesthetic aspect.
The aesthetic aspect and slowly getting into the spiritual aspect of it. But that took a while. And then 4 years ago, I had a near-death experience, which I don't like the term because you don't feel like a near-death experience. You don't feel like you're near die. You know what I mean? I don't know who came up with that term, because you actually die. And you come back.
Well, I'm actually glad that you're bringing this up, because in your book, it was unclear to me if it was actually a near-death experience or if it was a death experience. I didn't know if you actually died and came back, or if you felt as though you had died because you were in the middle of a journey. Right. Or at the end of a journey, I'm sorry. So I wasn't really sure. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah. No, I actually died. I was in between two plant medicine journeys, but the journey was finished for like 5 hours already. Everybody was up. I was up, and it was in Santa Barbara. Everybody was on the beach, walking on the beach, having fun. And I was still in the room because I was still getting downloads, and I was still, like, I just wanted to rest. And then all of a sudden, I feel like somebody's pressing my heart with both their hands. Like the best example I can tell you is this. And then my hands began to get really warm and sweaty. And then I look at the wall in front of me, and it became like so blurry. I remember I was like, oof. And the biggest problem was the heart. And then eventually, I collapsed. I was against the wall, sitting on my mattress. And in my last breath, I collapsed. And I just died, and I fall down on the mattress next to me. So I don't know how long I went, because, time is an
You were
illusion.
alone in the room. Everyone else was next door, right?
Everybody was gone.
Right.
The shaman was next door with his newborn.
Right.
And he was playing with his newborn, and and I heard the kid was laughing and, giggling and all that.
Life and death.
Life and death. As I was dying, I heard, like life was like, keep going. So I don't know how long it lasted, but I know that Jesus came out of nowhere, like I see you right now. I know it's tough to believe something like that.
No, not for me. I
With
believe
a
it.
big heart in his hand, and he shoved it in my chest right here. And I came back. Like immediately, I was like, and I came back. And it's interesting because I was not like, oh my God. None of this. I just came back like nothing had ever happened. So I don't know how long I was gone. And in the meantime, I had a conversation with God. And I had this amazing trip that he told me, you're a healer, heal the world, I give you a VIP pass. And then the ceiling, I had a ceiling here. There was like a cloud, like gold and silver. And I felt like I had hit a ceiling all the way up there, opened up, and then I turned into God. But the only power that I had was to heal and fix the entire planet and solar system and animals. There were no humans.
So you felt like this was your calling. God had talked to you. I mean, very similar to Moses on the.
It took me another 4 years to realize that, because of everything all the synchronicities that happened after that. It took me. It was not immediate.
So what were the synchronicities?
After that, I had like a connection with the Holy Spirit. The strong connection with Ganesh. Conversation with Jesus.
And when you say connection, are you saying that they came to you?
Yeah. So Jesus came to me like under plant medicines, conversations. Because after that, I was so confused. It was really shook me up that I went in the jungle to do like another like 2 weeks immersion, with shamans and work some more. And conversation with Jesus. I met with the Pleiadians and they came to me. And I asked Jesus, so I told him, your dad told me, you're a healer, heal the world, I give you a VIP pass, but what modality shall I, work with? And then he said, you have nothing to do. Just look at them in the eyes and they shall be healed. And he left.
Is this why you talk about eyes being the healing power, the channel through which we can do our greatest
healing? So that was the seed, but it got me even more confused because being a photographer, I thought maybe the eye is the lens, I said maybe there's something with that. But then I think it's now I'm really, I have this understanding that it's really the eyes, our eyes is.
Like our third eye. I mean, we have a third eye for a reason.
Yeah, but even our eyes, we have superpowers. Right. I'm and specifically if you do some sun gazing, you down on the coats and you have the power of the sun, and you can really, like it's like gold. I'll be back to the story, but like gold, like in Colombia, for example, ritual specialists, they take the gold outside during the day so it can recharge its generative power.
So like a crystal.
Exactly. Like we take the crystal at full moon, right? So our eyes have the same power. And so when you take the power of the sun, you can really, after that, like redistribute that power to all people around you.
Oh, that's interesting.
With your eyes.
Right, you're capturing the sun's power.
Correct.
Right.
But this is my take. But I feel that I know by other things that I do that it works on people and really help people with that.
There are some yogic traditions that believe that. For example, even in my tradition, we believe that rising with the sun is the most powerful time to generate and manifest.
Oh, definitely. In very ancient civilizations like Mesopotamia, Egypt, or tradition, or the precious teachings of Hinduism and Buddhism, the gold is always connected to the sun god, like Shamash, also known as Utu in Mesopotamia, obviously Ra in Egypt, or Inti with the Incas. And so they all have their sun gods, and gold is always connected to the sun god and always connected to the sun.
Right. It's the source of energy, the source of all life, right?
Yeah.
I think in Egypt it was the primary god, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The sun is God, because the sun is the underlying source of all creation.
Absolutely. And
this is my philosophy too, by the way.
Yeah, no, definitely. And in Mesoamerica, if you look at the Mayans, if you look at, the Toltec or the Aztec after them, or even the lesser known Olmecs, the Olmecs, they were making those giant stone heads made out of volcanic stone. Unbelievable. They're like 10 tons and they're like 10, 15 feet high. Or the Zapotecs that created one of the earliest form of writing in Mesoamerica. You have 10 civilizations basically in Mesoamerica. They all tell you the same thing. Gold is a sacred metal. They tell you any object fashioned from it is a way to connect it to supernatural forces. And they tell you, and I'm quoting, and it's a bit of a mouthful, they tell you gold is an active agent on an ongoing engagement with supernatural forces.
So, for example, the angelic field.
Oh yeah.
Like Yogi Bhajan, who was my teacher, would tell us to put, not me because he died before I was practicing. He passed in transition, but he would say that you put gold in water and you drink water that has been ionized by gold. And it helps you connect to the angelic forces. It creates a projective force against you, elevates your consciousness. He believed in wearing gold on your earrings and sort of creating that arc line and also protecting your arc line and helping with enhance your subtle body. I mean, gold, the teachings of gold have been around for millennia. And what's interesting is in every culture. Right? It doesn't matter if it's every culture. Asia, Africa, the Americas.
Only us Westerners, for a lot of us, we just see the material value of gold that is like roughly give or take $2,800 an ounce.
Well, that tends to be the Westerners in general, with all things.
In general. But I mean,
we don't value the energy of matter. We just value like
the spiritual, power of gold. It's just absolutely crazy.
We're awaking. Don't you think we're becoming more awake to these sorts of signs?
Yeah, but it's interesting because what you mentioned with the gold and the water, and I realize from my work and the people I meet, and I realize that only some very advanced spiritually people understand that power, because I can tell, like you can tell me, because you completely got it. I see you like you're 100%.
As soon as I met you, I was like, ooh, I gotta have this guy.
No, thank you. No, but you are the gold. I can see it on you, right? No, you are. You got it. It's like if I tell you, do this, put the gold, pen and gold, you'll do it because you will gonna feel this angelic power immediately. Right,
because I believe.
You believe, and you are. It's a matter of like it's like a ladder, and like if you're the very first, everybody goes through his own journey with his own timing, and we all have different stories and background and stuff, but not everybody is, I can tell you by experience, ready to fully grasp the magnitude of this power. Because I see it every day. That's what I do. I don't do anything else. I paint people in gold, and I lead transformational experiences with gold, and I lead transformational experiences with breath work.
Right, which
and
is
I link
another
both together, right. Which is another thing.
Yes, and I believe in the Ayurvedic tradition, they would put gold oils on, and some would even ingest. Right, there's still some gold ingestibles, I believe.
Oh yeah. Right now, yeah. Like I take Ormus, but you have different brand.
Which one is that?
It's a colloidal gold. It's called Ormus.
And it's an ingestible.
Yeah, it's a liquid.
Yeah. Like tinctures.
Yeah, like in Egypt, they used to. So in Egypt in 3100 BC to 30 BC, they had alchemists in Alexandria, and they would make elixirs based out of liquid gold that they would ingest to cure disease, to strengthen the life force, strengthen the immune system, rejuvenate.
And your energetic field. Because there is right? The gold increases the energetic field.
Yeah.
And this, by the way, the energetic field can actually be measured. There's now technology which can measure one's magnetic field.
That's something I want to do next, is be able, like when paint people in gold, to be able to measure before and after. I mean, before, during, and after, to see. And I've never done it.
Right, with the gold, the gold with the breath work.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine how their auric field, their magnetic field, and their vibrant, their subtle body will be enhanced?
Yeah. Yeah. We need to measure that like before, during, and after, because it's phenomenal.
There are technologies for this.
Yeah, for sure. But like I say, people, even like get on Amazon and get a piece of gold fabric for $20 and just meditate with it. Just like cover it, like a fabric that is that is nice, that you know
nice
you don't
and
need
soft, and that you
nice,
can embrace,
yeah.
and you feel
And you feel comfy,
right.
yeah.
It has to It's you want to wrap your body in it,
And
whatever.
cover
it
your
is.
head.
And cover your head.
Cover your head, just like, and you do your little meditation,
Right,
you do
and-
your little, whatever you do, your little routine.
Why do you think that in meditations, and I believe that this is in most traditions, they'll say to you at the end, close your eyes and peer out of your third eye and envision yourself wrapped in gold. See a gold light around you, a white light around you, right? You're sort of entering that heavenly state.
So that's what I do with the breath work when you breathe a specific rhythm and pattern, you get in theta brainwave mode real quick. So you get out of your body, and theta brainwave mode is a state of hypnosis, like we all are when we wake up in the morning, before you get your coffee.
Which brainwave are you? I'm sorry, I'm not.
Theta.
Oh, the theta. I
Theta,
see.
yeah.
So there's the gamma, the theta, and the beta, right?
Yeah,
These are the
and
states of
yeah.
correct.
And so the theta is really, really slow, and the breath work.
It's a sleep-like state.
Yes, you're in between. It's the twilight zone.
Correct.
You're in between. And
Correct.
then when you're there, we can rewrite the story. We can remove the
Right.
block
You can
energy.
erase old.
We can clean the traumas, the addictions.
Exactly.
We can, whatever happened. And the thing is,
This is when you're most susceptible to change.
yeah, like you're very receptive. And
Correct.
then that's when I do the goal meditation after doing the work on the traumas and the blocked energy. And I bring like an amazing goal meditation where really you end up like being completely, absolutely pure gold. And it's phenomenal. But between 0 and 7 years old, specifically 2 and 7, everybody is in theta brainwave mode.
I did not know that. Is that true?
Yeah, because we have no filters.
All the time?
All the times. So we are sponges. Babies until 7, they are sponges. So whatever happened until 7 is crucial.
Is that why babies are more likely to communicate with other beings in other dimensions?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Is that that's the
yeah,
reason?
Because they don't have filters.
They haven't built the walls.
No, there's no walls, except depending of the upbringing. If we're talking like domestic violence, stuff like that.
Of course, these are walls, though. Again,
They bring walls, and the problem is like those walls we build to survive. It's a survival mechanism.
Right. It's not our natural state, the state of God.
Yes,
It's not us being in our godliness.
and unfortunately, they become the prison in which we live 30, 40 years, 50 years later, the rest of our lives.
Right. And then we spend our entire lives trying to escape that prison.
Exactly. So
with work like yours and work like mine, and yeah.
yeah. So eventually we break those walls and we do the work with the breath work. We can access really all those fields that are not being accessible otherwise. When we are fully conscious, we access the body and we let the intelligence of the body, because the subconscious is right here, and we access the subconscious when we are in theta brainwave mode. And so we can really access and do the work and rewrite the story, the negative beliefs, the negative thought loops and all that. And then I bring the goal meditation on it.
And so, what would you say is the technology, if that's the right word, or what is it about gold that actually creates the healing?
It's the vibration.
So it's the frequency. It's the gold frequency.
It's
Got
the
it.
purest frequency
It is.
there is. And I tell people, like we were saying earlier, you have all those ancient civilizations, like even like in Buddhism, gold is the pinnacle of spiritual aspiration and the act of dedicating material wealth to pursue spiritual awakening and spiritual ascension. And in Hinduism, for example, if you go to India, the temples are covered with gold,
right.
not to show opulence, but to attract and channel divine energy, believed to purify the soul when you walk in the temple, and attract enlightenment.
And didn't one culture consider gold the flesh of the gods?
Yeah,
No.
flesh of the gods is the Egyptians.
Is it the Egyptians?
Yeah, they said flesh of the gods or the skin of the gods.
The skin of the gods.
So I tell people, technically, if you're wearing gold right now, congratulations, you are wearing the skin of the gods, whoever that is for you. And that's interesting. And that's why they would eat gold, but they would also eat gold to connect with with Ra and their divinity.
Right.
And also,
10th gate straight up to heaven, right?
yeah. And
Or
they would,
universal consciousness to connect you to the universe.
yeah, definitely. And so they would be very serious with gold because pharaohs actually were not just rulers, they were living gods. And when they died, they would be buried, encased in gold, a lot of gold. And that gold, of course, would last forever, as they believed they would themselves. And the most famous example of this is Tutankhamun, because it's the most, it's a dazzling example of the king's journey, of the protection for the king's journey in the afterlife, because he was buried with 1 ton of gold, 2,300 pounds. So it's colossal for them.
Right, and there were all these grave robbers that would go in because they believed just by owning it, just by taking possession, they would then possess the godly powers.
Yeah. And so they would eat gold also for, connect with the gods and be like completely connected with them. And, excuse me.
Darling, you have a glass of water right there.
Yeah, thank you. And in Mesopotamia, for example, they would adorn their deceased with gold because they would hope this way to secure a favorable reception in the afterlife. And they would use gold to honor their high status individuals like priests and kings, believed to hold a closer connection to the gods.
Right, and they also say that it helped you actually transition. It
definitely.
increased the ability to transition from this plane into the heavenly plane.
Yeah, big time, because in Egypt they would put gold in your mouth so you could deal with Osiris, the god of the afterlife. When you would be facing him, you would have the gold in your mouth, you'll be able to express yourself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in the Incas, they would put gold and silver and the coca leaf. Gold for the same reason, because it's a sun god Inti. So it's the light, it's the ultimate power, it's the ultimate yang force of the universe, the sun. So let me finish the Inca. So the gold, the silver, and the coca leaf, because the coca leaf is a sacred plant in the Andes. So that's why they would put the 3 of it in the mouth of the deceased. So you would be fully equipped in the afterlife with Inti, the gold, the sun, and the silver, Mamakia, the night, and the coca leaf on top of that. So already it was something to ascend and to really connect with the gods. And Mesopotamia, same thing. Because Mesopotamia, we're talking, so back to 3500 BC, it's the oldest civilization. It's considered today Mesopotamia. So today, Mesopotamia is like currently Iran, Iraq, Turkey, Kuwait, and Syria. That region over there. And it's considered today, and it is, the cradle of civilization, because it's where humanity's first major developments were made. The invention of the wheel, the planting of crops, mathematics, astronomy. They were champs in astronomy already. Even the cuneiform, the very first form of writing that ever existed, was created in Mesopotamia 400 years before the Egyptians. Very advanced civilizations. And even the time. So they come up with the solar watch. Like with the solar watch, you're able to say, it's 9 o'clock, it's 10. So be able to organize a society to, like you show up at 9, you leave at 5. It's very important.
Of course.
And so the Sumerians and the Akkadians that dominated Mesopotamia from nearly 3100 BC to the entire time period, they revered gold not only for its rarity and its beauty, but for its deep spiritual significance. And they would absolutely use gold to ask for divine favor, divine alignment, and being connected to the gods, and they would not live their lives without it. So when we paint people in gold, we have 24 karat gold, and we have regular also paint that looks like gold that does the job. you know, but I like personally work with a 24 karat because then you're really fully aligned with the real gold.
Yes, my Yogi Bhajan used to say, do not align yourself with anything lower than a 22 or 24 karat gold.
And in Hinduism, it's interesting you say that because it's like the elite in Hinduism. Gold. So in Buddhism, gold symbolizes enlightenment. The sun represents awakening. And this is a formula that we find very often.
And enlightenment will take you into the 4D and the 5D and onward and upward. Gold is the tangible version of these two incarnates.
That's what I was trying to say.
Got it. I see what you're saying.
Thank you, Taylor. Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. And so in Hinduism, I researched all that. Why? Because I had, after my NDE, people are like, why do you research all that, bro? I'm like,
you did a deep dive. You're like, I've got to figure this out. It's been calling me.
Yes.
It's been calling to me for so many years.
Exactly.
I've felt a calling. And so as a result, I'm going to do a deep dive and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And then, Jesus comes to you and suddenly everything starts to appear as it unfolds, it unravels. And you're actually no longer thinking you're nuts. You're realizing to yourself, oh my God. There is a message. There is a calling. There's value and truth in this whole thing.
Oh my gold.
Oh my God.
So Hinduism, like I said, the temples in India are covered with gold to really,
Like the Golden Temple.
The golden temples are really to attract, enlightenment, purify the soul and channel divine energy. And in Hinduism, actually the goddess Lakshmi, for example, she's very often depicted in gold.
Isn't she the goddess of prosperity?
She's the goddess of prosperity, and she is also a symbol for spiritual fulfillment. Because in our case, exactly. In our case, we're not talking about awakening or enlightenment. It's fulfillment, right?
Right, of anything. It could be love. It's abundance.
It's abundance.
It's abundance.
Yeah, and what a coincidence. She's always in gold. You know what I mean? And so, in Hinduism, gold has been for millennia a symbol. So Hinduism, number one, we're talking about the oldest and continuously practiced religion in the world. We're talking 2500 BC. So whatever your religion is, we all babies compared to Hinduism. The Vedas, the word Veda means knowledge, it's the equivalent of the Bible. The Vedas was written 500 BC. But they started the Vedas 1500 BC. It's a huge literature, right? It's a Bible time, 20. It's a huge literature. For 1,000 years, they transmitted orally the Vedas because they didn't have a writing system. Right. It's crazy. It's insane. It's insane. I don't even can begin to grasp the magnitude.
This is what the mind does when it's not on Instagram.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is what we were capable of when we were spiritually connected.
Exactly. Yeah. And so 500 BC, finally they have a writing system, and they write it down. So in Hinduism, so we're talking really, really, really old religion. And Hinduism, gold has been for millennia a symbol of divine purity, ascension, and spiritual enlightenment. And I'm like, that's impossible. I felt like I had another heart attack when I read that. And
so, I don't think that's that surprising.
Oh, to me, it was
really? Given what we're discussing right now and how it's been used in that.
No, but the fact that we are today finally getting into this, you know what I mean? Like 20 years ago in the Western world, you talk about awakening, your 5 people would like.
But we had to go through the whole Piscean age, right? Where we were disconnected from everything. And we're finally sort of, again, on the age of Aquarius. You call it the golden age.
Yeah.
But where we're starting to become awakened again because we've been asleep at the wheel for so long. And our brains have been disconnected from our vagus nerve has not been connecting the mental and the heart. And so we either operate primarily from our mind, right? Or from our heart. These are the two types of people, and most of them in the Piscean age were operating from a place of mind.
Yeah. And that's the thing I see in America is like it's very difficult for people to operate from the heart.
Too many things and distractions,
It's difficult, yeah. And I tell people you need to be ready to do much more less.
of course, consumerism has distracted us from going inside, right? Instead of meditating at night, we go on Amazon, or we're constantly going outside of ourselves,
shows,
right?
Yeah.
Nice distractions from the speed of life and from the pain that we're all enduring. And I say that not lightheartedly. I think that we all do suffer enormously, and this is what's leading us back into the direction that we belong in. This is why we're forced to look inside, because the pain is intolerable. Mm-hmm. People are suffering. That's why we have things like the Conscious Life Expo. This is why people like us find each other, right? And want to lead, want to be leaders, and want to be teachers, and want to guide those who are going through it and show them that we've gone through it. Look, it sounds like you went through a tremendous amount of turmoil, right, to get to this point. And then you found your path and you dove deep, and now you know who you are. You sort of had a second rebirth. Your ascension into your second life.
Yeah.
On this planet. This particular incarnation, because we all have had so many lives.
Becomes everything. Like abandonment. People tell me, I haven't been abandoned. No, it's not about that. It's like if your mom was late to pick you up at school once, right, can create like the feeling and the trauma of abandonment for the rest of your life.
Right. It depends on the person, because an adopted child who actually has more of a reason to feel the abandonment can suffer less than somebody, for example, who's picked up. It's all our perception of it.
There's no right or wrong way to raise a child. It can be so, anything can happen, but we all do suffer, and we pile layers of clay, and I love to tell that story of the Buddha. So Buddhism, right, was born in Hinduism. It was born in 563 BC in full Hinduism, and Siddhartha Gautama, that was the Siddhartha was the Buddha. Was born in 563 in a little village called Lumbini, and Lumbini is not in Italy like it could be. Right?
Sounds Italian, right?
It sounds Italian. It's in Nepal, and his dad was a king, and the Vedic sage told him, so full frame Hinduism,
you have to leave the palace.
And his dad told him, the Vedic sage told him, your son, my king, will be either a great king or a spiritual leader. And so the king wanted an heir for the kingdom. And if I recall correctly, it was not easy for him to get an heir. So we finally got a son, he wanted him to be a great king.
But Siddhartha wants to be the spiritual leader.
Yeah.
And doesn't he leave the palace?
Yes. So he kept him until age 29,
and he ran away.
This golden cage, and he never saw like a dead body. He never saw an old person. He never saw a sick person. And at age 29, he finally gets out of the kingdom, and he sees all that in Nepal and more. He sees a dead body. He sees a sick person. He sees somebody meditating like a Vedic sage, and he saw a fourth one that he had never seen. So he was so shocked that he started to meditate. And eventually, he refused the inheritance, left the kingdom, and went on his way like barefoot and started.
Now, was that the beginning of a sadism, where you denounce everything?
It came after. Yeah. It was the beginning. Yes. And then what happened is that he that's the very interesting point that I love in Buddhism, is that in Hinduism back then, they were told that you could not reach enlightenment without worshiping and without being part of the elite. And he said, no. He said, you don't need to worship. Buddhism turned the light inward.
It's the exact opposite.
It's the exact opposite. You don't need to worship anybody. And God knows, like I love, Ganesh and all those deities and Lakshmi and Shiva and all that. But very deeply rooted in Hinduism, all of them. Some branches in Buddhism, they worship Ganesh. But it's the exact opposite, exactly. So he said, no, guys. I'm going to show you. I'm going to do it. And he reached enlightenment at age 35. And then he became extremely popular among the people, obviously, with all the poverty on top of that, in Nepal and then in India and then extended everywhere in China. And because, like everybody's like was able to get enlightened without any, without being part of the elite. Or that's why I love, Buddhism. I think it's incredible to have been able to create that revolution. Now they change in Hinduism. Où que tu es belle, toi? Is that a girl or is a boy? Où que tu es beau? I have the same one.
Beau.
You have the exact same one, just brown and black.
My little pit bull. They're all coming to see you.
I know.
They're like Saint Francis of Assisi.
I really,
they're all coming down to, all the animals are coming downstairs where they never come.
How old is he?
5, almost 5, 4.5.
Oh, yeah, beauty. Look at those little stand on your ears. You're so precious. You're so precious. You're precious. And that's what I love that in Buddhism. It's really powerful, and so he was able to really create that new movement, and people follow him, and it was phenomenal. And the Buddha statue of a Buddha symbolizes as we know like peace and.
Well, these are actually my yoga.
I was looking at those.
Do you know what they are? They're from the Buddha in Bali, the gold Buddha. And when people pray, they pray on the statue, and every morning the gentlemen come to sweep the dust. Uh-huh. And what they do is they put the dust. So these are real gold, but if you do yoga like I do, you don't hear anything. So these are gold filled with the Buddha, the wishes and the prayers that are made on the Buddha.
On every one of them, you have a different.
So they're no. It's just the dust from the entire statue.
Uh-huh.
So,
I see.
So what I'm saying is, it contains all the prayers and all it embodies everyone's prayers or everyone's cries or everyone's. It's beautiful, and then the money goes back to Bali.
Nice.
Little villages, to support the little villages.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah, I love these. And when I take them off, I really feel the energetic shift.
For sure.
The downshift.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, I do. I mean, I really do believe in my gold and in my jewels. And
at Pleiadians, they use gold to open portals.
now, I noticed through your book that you were really into the alien life, which, is something else that I'm fascinated with. I don't know if you know, but I'm very good friends with Alan Steinfeld.
Oh, okay.
And and he's been a guest on this show, and he's absolutely fascinating.
He is amazing, yeah.
But when we get into the Pleiadians, it's pretty interesting.
I know. I really researched that because myself, I'm a Lyran and half Pleiadian. So Lyrans,
self-diagnosed.
Yeah, right. Lyrans, they were in the planet Vega, and we were only lions and birds. Lyrans are birds or lions, or big cats, and the planet got destroyed by the Draconians, and so they had to leave and find refuge in the solar system. And a lot of us ended up in the Pleiades because they're very.
And we've got the Draconians here, don't we? They're on.
Do we have?
I think we do.
Oh yeah.
Are they subterranean?
I don't know, but I know that we have a bunch of Draconians here, unfortunately, on the planet.
Correct. Do you want to hear something incredible? So I was listening to Joe Rogan. I just outed myself, but I love him. And his largest podcast, he said Bob Lazar. Do you know who he is?
No.
He's the guy who outed Area 51.
Oh.
And who had encounters with the Pleiadians. And his stories remained the same for over 30 years. So I think he's very well documented and very well believed in the ufology world.
Wow.
His number one podcast. So it just goes to tell you, we're not conspiracy theorists.
No,
so many people are curious and want to hear about this because they believe. I can't imagine too many people believe that we're the only existence in this universe. It's really unimaginable.
No, it's unthinkable. And in
especially if you have the
2025
spiritual, if you lean towards the spiritual.
Yeah, and you need to be open to this because it expands your heart and it allows your heart to flow like a river. You know what I mean? Versus like, no, it's just me and you and and Haley, the beautiful Haley, and maybe the turtle and these beautiful
I think people who shut it out because of fear. And you're right, and their heart isn't expansive. And so that's a very interesting way to put it. And I think you're really right. I think the more we open our heart, the more we believe. And the more we believe, the better affected we are.
The more and the
more positively effective. Yeah.
2025 is the year, like everybody talks about it, where we are going to make contact. Me, I mean, I know I'm a starseed, I'm a lion, and I'm fully aware of this. I mean, under plant medicine, I roar. You know, it's like there's no doubt. Like I'm a pure lion, and I can sit on my plant medicine journey.
We've covered so much ground here today. Really exciting. I don't think fun. We've had this anything like this yet on the show. This is really very dynamic and very interesting and very well researched. And I love that you bring the academic to the spiritual and really fascinating.
Thank you.
So
I think we need to really understand that everything is connected, you know.
Everything.
We can be like too academic and we can be like too high up there and we can be too up there. But you know what I mean? Like it's great to like, let's see, like a Rubik's Cube, you know, tack, 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 tack. Let's see what we can do with that.
And the community is just getting bigger by the moment. It's, you know, and I'll say I'm not a big social media person, but it certainly has helped people reach out to each other and connect and realize that there are a lot of us out there.
Yeah.
There are a lot of us doing this work.
Yeah, and you know, I always tell people, you know, we add layers of clay upon layers of clay, you know, it's like I talk about this Buddha, you were talking about the Buddha, and so I think you like, I want to tell you that little story because it's fun. In 1403, they built, in Thailand, they built that Buddha that is 9 feet tall, pure gold. And in 1757, the Burmese army invaded Thailand. And so those monks facing total annihilation, they decided to, you know, hide the Buddha. So they put clay on it, plaster, they painted it. And then during the invasion, none of them survived, but the Buddha remained undiscovered. 200 years later, 1957, again right now, 70 years ago, the monks that were relocated in this same monastery where those things happened, they had to move the Buddha with ropes to build something next to the temple. And the Buddha fell down. And then the clay cracked a little bit, just enough to see like a pure, you know, like super powerful light coming out of the crack. So they took some chisels and some hammers. They removed the clay to discover a $250 million Buddha. So you know what that story tells us is that I tell people,
you don't lose things.
Yeah,
they come back to
in each and every one of us.
Right?
We have this golden Buddha.
We have the golden Buddha.
We just need to remove those layers of clay. And what are those? It's our own doing. It's our own ego, our own upbringing. Maybe today it's like, maybe back then it's a teacher that didn't like you, and you still remember that guy or that girl. And today, what is it? It's your coworkers, it's the media, it's the society, it's the corporations. You know, it's the religions. And the layers of clay, and then we completely, and some of us, we go straight to the grave without even knowing.
Oh, God, that's so petrifying. That is so petrifying.
I know.
I think people like us, that our daily work is to make sure that we expose the gold and that we live in the gold.
And that's what we do when we paint people in gold during those transformational experiences. So first we remove those layers of clay by getting to know the person, like really know the challenges, if any, life challenges, trauma, what is the story that we need to rewrite? Because maybe you're stuck in that story. You've been stuck since you were 15, 20. Maybe it's the pandemic, you know, just this. Maybe the fires we just had like a month ago.
For young people, there's going to be huge waves of trauma, and absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to leave a lot of drug addicts behind too, because these people, you have no idea how many people are getting on anxiety, antidepressants, sleeping pills. I mean, this is no joke. The ripple effect of these tragedies is astounding.
Yeah, I know.
It's astounding, and people don't take that into consideration.
No, I know it's bad. So we work on that.
We work with. There's going to be a lot of people that we can work on now that are going to need healing.
I know.
A lot of people that need to come, awaken.
Yeah.
To their inner strength, because they need that to carry them through.
We do a big work on that, and then the idea is like when we finally, start painting your body in gold, it's literally the same Buddhist process of refinement and enlightenment. Then like gold needs to be refined in order to shine its true brilliance. We need to first remove the layers of clay so you can really see yourself with your own eyes.
Yeah.
Even for the St. Thomas people, when you see yourself in gold, it's just
exactly.
It's people are blown away. It's incredible. You cannot deny your divinity anymore.
No, exactly. This is one of them, and I just find this so exquisite.
Thank you. Yeah.
So tell me, darling, how do people who want portraits contact you? What's the best way to look you up? I know you're active on Instagram, but do you have a website that can take people directly to you? What is that?
My name is zackzublena.com, or also ZZ Gallery, because it's also a gallery online, and it's where you book your photo shoot, your gold photo shoot.
That's ZZ Gallery?
Like Zack Zublena, ZZ Gallery.
And it's Zublena.
Yes.
Zublena.
But you can get to the website with zackzublena.com or zzgallery.com. It's the same.
Take you to the same place.
You'll land at the same place.
Well, thank you, darling. This is absolutely lovely. I really enjoy talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
Very smart, very interesting man.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Satnam.
Satnam.